Bang bang badang ding dang diggy diggy digging bang badang ding ding boy. Bang badang ding dang diggy diggy digging bang badang ding ding yes. Black to black. 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 Look, there's no need to worry and no need to fret. If you think we was finished, we ain't done yet. This is the platform where you can get informative topic with real intellect. Play talk good manners, raise the antennas. Andre and Karen, that's host the vibe. Facebook, Spotify and Instagram. You could also catch me on the YouTube live with positive content back to back. I'm inviting all people to black. Yes, Lobby and Power is black to black. And everybody invited. So share it and like it. For we all are united and black to black. Yes, Lobby and Power is black to black. And everybody invited. So share it and like it. For we all are united and black to black. Yes. This is your mortal immortal, inviting each and everyone to log on to all streaming platforms to black with your host Andre and Karen. So subscribe, share, like and comment, and come along. Let me enjoy the vibes. Diggy diggy, black to black. Diggy diggy diggy, black to black. Daga daga, black to black. Black to black.
Greetings and salutations all.
It's live, we live. Blessed night to all. All life in good health. It's black to be black.
Well, we joined by the boss tonight. Mr. Christopher Alexander. Mr. Brethren.
Good night to you viewers, all your
Persons online.
Nice, you know, it's nice to be here.
For the people who always listen regular, there's Christopher from the comments.
Oh, good.
We joined by the boss tonight.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, so we are on the election madness. And I just call it madness because sometimes what has happened more, some of our true colors. Some of the colors are beautiful, some of them are real ugly, some of them are ugly. And knowing me too. You understand? And some are still going on because we just have is the people showing the true colors, and then there's people who were results waiting for the reason to show colors from that box in never seen before. Right? So we're still in that because it's still fresh in our memory. Some of we still have income in hand. We here with Christopher Alexander, who was a representative for the Patriotic Front. Right?
my community.
A community that you're born and grew up in, right? Here today, let's talk to we about the whole experience, pros, the cons, the pros, the cons, what is life going forward. So Christopher, blessed night and welcome.
Blessed night again and thanks for having
Blessed night again.
Well, the whole map is Lavender East Mover consists of South. So I mean when I did most of my walks and thing, and it was surprised. Pass all these. I pass all as a little fella.
Right. You know, some remain the same. Some change a bit. Some get worse.
Yes. So it's kind of
it was a bittersweet moment, to see. I went to Plata Private Road. My preschool was on Plata Private. So the journey was really and truly enlightening, and to see some of the things that we face as a community. It's like, whoa. Yeah, I wish that persons would come off from their horse.
How high it is to come off?
and really and truly war. Some things that, you know, a lot of time people will say, them look for that. That's how it is. Can't change them. That is not true. Seeing it first hand, that's not true. That's not true. In some cases, in some cases, it's like get these people. You know, and they know nothing more than themselves. You know,
Let me start it. Tell us what it is drive you. Because we know you as a businessman. You know you as a graduate from school, and you was always vocal. You was always involved,
and he was always willing to somebody willing to help.
So when we was on one side, and right, we in here to discuss no bacchanal around tonight. We here to
discuss organization and other experience.
Right. So we were all part and parcel of our party group at that point in time, for that same reason, because we wanted to, you know, make a difference, get involved, because we brethren tell me, bye, let's only talk, come and join the thing, right? So we went and we get involved, right? So I know you would have had some experience with that is concerned, and that would have may have been your driving force to join the Patriotic Front. But tell us about, you know, the whole experience, because I know as a family man, my wife tell me straight up, that ain't happening. You understand? She let me know, partner, that not happening. Right? So for you, tell me, like, what you think, the discussion that we walk we through the whole thing now, like when you first thought about it, how you talk to wifey, big up yourself for her, how it was received. You know, for me, you're talking about when people say public life, that's exactly what it is. You know what I mean? So we don't know exactly how. Again, I could. I'm away. Oh, I ain't getting no mic. Testing. Check. I ain't getting no mic. Turn around.
In the meantime,
yes. Testing. All right, yeah, we on. Right, yeah. So we were saying, Chris. Sorry about that, folks. It was, yeah. So we should be sorted out then, or they should be getting it proper then, all right? Chris, so tell me about the journey, as to how the family receive it, and then all your friends, and walk with you. Special good night to my boys, and all my friends. Now, really and truly, my wife was like, she ain't no politician. She said, sure, this is what I want to do. I say, well, I always feel that I could make a change and I could help us, right? I can make a difference. Whether it be by mentoring, whether it be by just, you just talk to them. You just give them a word of encouragement. I always felt that way. Getting involved is like, why not now, boy? Because as you see, because I've been on a particular party group, and we have seen, to bash anybody, we're not here to expose anybody, but we have seen firsthand, some of the things that we were not satisfied with. Right? And in not being satisfied, we have tried to see how it is or what we can see. Right? And there are many conversations, and Karen, you notice that we would have had with brethren. And it is like the
institution is important, not the people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people speaks about the institution.
Right.
But what builds them, what makes the institution? How the institution began.
Yeah.
What has the institution standing today? The people.
Yeah.
Right? And far too long I've seen and it seems like I was drawn to it, and I had to say to me, it had to be God, because I was listening to something and I heard the political leader said some things, and I felt, well, you know, she was speaking something different to what I've been hearing all the time. Right? And I said, let me get involved, other than trying to be involved from before.
Right.
Because you're involved in something else, but nobody listening to you. So if you're not listening to the people in your group, you think you're listening to the people on the ground
We don't have that kind of access to it.
who don't have the access to it. Right? And I've seen, you know, sometimes in the same group you go meetings and you see the same hierarchies pass, and it's like they don't even want to shake your hand in, you know. So it was like a real disconnect. Right? But to get involved in this, to me, you gotta love people.
Right.
You have to love people. Right? And in loving people, you gotta love yourself. You gotta look at you, and then you gotta love you. Right? One of the things that I saw in this journey is that people would have see themselves, see me in themselves, vice versa. Right? Because you see somebody looking like you, who could talk like you, who walking like you, who have been in the community like you, trying to represent you. Right? And that was one of the proudest things for me. Right? That somebody could relate. I could relate to them, they could relate to me. Right? I've walked in places where I went and shake down people's mango tree. Right? And I'd come now and say, vote for me now.
I would say interject here. It's something me and Karen discuss regularly. It's time to have some kind of legislation passed that in order to even be able to offer yourself as a candidate, you must be from the area. Not live there or just play there in a way, you must be from the area. Like, oh, you can view them kind of stories. You shake down somebody's mango tree. Who said, imagine they remember you? I remember you as a youth man for a century, you know. Because I think that is part of the disconnect. The disconnect of not knowing the people and them. You can't shake them. Because you're uncomfortable because you're not from there. Yeah.
I mean, and some people had questions that, no, I live in Patriotic, but when you look at the border, is it being
literally
separated? Yeah. Because if I cross the main road, I'm in Delavan, and I'm not far from the main road, right? And the time that I'm in Patriotic is a couple of years
compared to the
time, because you have people who live outside the constituency, and that's okay, right? But as you rightly say, you have to be from there to understand so many people. No, you may have persons who from the area but don't want to step up. What do? You have to get somebody to represent. If there was nobody willing to step up in your constituency, in your area, then you have to get somebody who just as passionate to do it. Right? So it's good that you want to seek those sort of legislation and laws, but what will also help is persons with that drive and that passion. Right? In this, you should not know how this up. You know how it is. It's silly season when these things happen. Right? But the journey was different. When I carried my children,
I'm not gonna say how them boys and them, you think they totally understand what it is yours about for that period of time? I've seen some of the videos where there was a wrong and thing now.
Yeah, because my son even asked, he asked me why, right? He said when the results, he said, how come? And he said, what does this mean now? You know, so if anybody know my 10-year-old, he asks the question. And you have to can't sit down and baby talk him. You have to tell him, the reality. What would have happened. I had to tell him that persons choose, differently. So he says, so that means you're not going to work, and certainly he would have asked. But they were there on many other days. So many times.
Sit down in the van, but they did the work. They gave flyers to persons. They shook persons' hands. So they had an experience. That, and that was within the holiday period. So
So one of the things I had asked you, well, me and you not connected on Facebook, so I know you didn't see that post. And then I see you make a post, and I was like, yeah, because I posted about the day before he write up. I posted I wonder if all them football competitions and other little sporting activities we are seeing in the community for leading up to the election, if it just stop now, then Bam, I see he posts up a competition coming.
One of my
Because we's always told right here that we need more of that. You understand? So and I was glad to see that.
Yeah, that's one of my colleagues from who went up for St. Anne's. Real passionate young fella, and he has a competition, a league starting, and we have engaged in talks of having Mobile Laventil East, be part of that. Now, as we on sport, do you all know that there's a small goal competition in Caledonia?
Yeah, I know of it. Yeah.
You know of it?
Yeah.
You ever thought of going there? And why?
Yeah, because of the stigma of the place.
Right. I went there, right, and there was a team from Maloney. There was a team from Patriotic that night, right? They were in the finals. You could ever hear Maloney coming to Caledonia and over to play football?
No. That was sports is do.
Right? Now, the stigma has been there, right? But I think that's with a selective few. Because what I saw that night, right, was real people playing real football, right, with real community love. Right? I didn't see what we would say stigma. I didn't see that. I saw more love than anything else.
Well, I must say that everybody who I know that does go, because it have a few competitions and a few communities that most people wouldn't venture, who not from to go. Nearly everybody who I know does go them small goal competition. I say, boy, it's real nice.
Yeah. No, and it was real happy to see, right, that people was in the community till 1-2 o'clock in the morning and left, and everybody reached home safe. Everybody left. Nobody got robbed. No gunshot. Nothing. You didn't watch me. Even though football, any sport with contact may have some discourse, right? Yes, it has somebody run into somebody, and when I see a man running into him, I say, God, don't tell me go and fight. But it didn't have that, right? So the anger to me was probably controlled, and it was controlled within the environment of the confines of here. Well, we here for sport, we here to play, right? Anybody know it have a doubles man in Monrepo that you could wake up on a Saturday morning and go and get doubles, right? These places may have the stigma, right? But it's the stigma that persons take and carry, right? Because when you're in there, it's a different, right?
How are we fixing that?
What I wanted to do in order to fix that was to give persons the hope, right? There was a guy, when I was on the walk, there was a guy, everybody said, but he's the baddest electrician. And I said, who knows that? Right? Why can't I leave from wherever and go and fix my car by one of the greatest electricians in Monrepo? Why? Right? And one of the things that I did on my trail is that I was pushing the fact that let us have a business incubator. We'd have one of the first business incubators. Right? Now, talking this here is the airwaves. Somebody might take it because we are on a different side of the platform now, right? However, no problem. These are things that we need. You have a business incubator, you have a business hub, that's okay. You doing barbering, you have a store station set up, right? You doing barbering. We'll have another one, somebody doing hair and nails or whatever the case may be, right? You have another one, somebody doing makeup. You have another one, somebody doing contracts and administrative work, right? You may have another one, we have a contractor. So you have in this this business hub, right? One of the things we'll be able to do too is you have persons who will be able to learn how to register a business, set up a business, continue a business, learn cash flows, profit and loss. You don't learn how to read these profit and loss income statements and all these kind. So you're teaching people this, right? Now you may have a contractor, somebody who doing construction, and he don't. And this somebody taught, right? He don't know how to do a proposal.
Yeah.
And just as I say, you have somebody who does administrative stuff, who doing printing, copying, letter writing, all those kind of things, would be able now he could go to that person. So you're networking, right? So the person who come to take a trim because you have a wedding to go to, could go and get a pedicure, manicure. The girl who come to do she hair could do she makeup right after, before, whatever. But you have a networking system happening, right? So that you have businesses, because I'm an entrepreneur, as we know, right?
Yeah.
So we have businesses being created, grown, and developed, and you will have more sustainable, growth and income. Because a lot of people, when they work in the boss, we go do from our corporation work when you win now. And I say, but we could do better than a corporation work.
Yeah.
I say, why not create something that you could sustain more than just having a corporation work, right? I say, you could probably work corporation, yes. However, what can you do? I say, where's your trade? Where's your skill? And somebody, when you hear some of these skills that these fellas have, but they have no way. A young fella tell me, say, the boss, I can't come out of here. I can't really come out of here to go and do no work. Right? So you're looking for work in the community. What do we create in the community? Sometimes you walk, some people tell you, well, look, we could do our community center here,
Yeah.
Show you the landmark, show you where a community center could be. The persons that can fix the community is the persons that in the community and know the community. They know everything, they know everybody, they know what needed in the community.
Yeah.
Right? So when you say you need a community center, right? One time I will say, okay, you are the ones to help build this community center. We shouldn't have to get a person with a hard hat and a clipboard to come in now to tell us, right? I mean, granted that we may have persons who could do the plan, right? Who could do all the plan, do all the drafting work and whatever, and then the people in the community, everybody from, let's say, Paradise Heights, who are jobless, right, could be given the opportunity to do that because they're skilled, right? As a fella in Coconut Drive tell me, he say, yeah, but something like that could just be for one time, like temporary. I say, but what make you feel it temporary? I say, if there's one house you're going and build, right? I said, there's a mindset we're gonna move away from.
Yeah.
I said, why we can't create a village council or something that we have the skill sets when everybody, and we have this catchment where we know everybody who doing what, and when something need to be done, a drain need to be built, a house need to be painted and whatever, these are the people who doing it, people from the community. We gotta stop bringing people from outside to fix what we need to fix. If it's at a flood in front by you, you could say all the way that water supposed to pass so that it wouldn't flood.
Sure.
Right? But you go bring an engineer to tell you go bust the concrete here, and when you do that, it will still end up flooding, like how maritime they still flood after we spend millions of dollars there, right?
Where's one of your ideas reaching them same youths and them who in the community, seemingly having all this time on their hand, right? Because you pass through at any given time, see youth men sit down on a corner, with some of your ideas to keep them occupied.
Why the first thing you have to do, you have to talk to them, you have to meet them, because a lot of them, when you go to them and nobody don't go and talk to them, right? Everybody already put them in a light, put them in a little box, draw a line around them, and we say we not go in there, right? So you had to be able to talk to them first, right? Once you get that, one of the other things I wanted to also focus on too was mentorship, right? We have a lot of businesses in and around mobile Avantel area, right? Fernandez Compound have a whole set. You have Massey's. You have a lot of businesses around the area. Have a conversation. Let us use your boardroom. Let us use somewhere on your compound. If our community centers are not available, let us, and you need to give us, right? Because we have an engagement, right? You ought to give us somebody from it, whether it's a top level manager, who you ought to give us somebody from in your organization to mentor at least 12 young fellas.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That is your social and corporate responsibility. That's what I want. I want when on a Wednesday from 11 to 1, your boardroom or somewhere on your compound, right? Or even if you had to bring that person to, if we have access to our community center, right? You are somebody from your company, your business, and not just those big business we talking about. You know, Karen, you are Baba, right? I will want to engage with you too. Whatever day you feel that you could have 2 or 3 fellas here while you're trimming to have conversation with them, because I know it too that your barber shop, your place, is a therapeutic place. People just come and sit down and just talk. Right? You are psychologist, psychiatrist, you know. So these are the responsibility, not just for business, but for us. Yeah, something you sit down, you even walking, you talk to a lot of elders. And what they say, I say, so you don't want to be part of our mentorship program? Somebody say, boy, them don't want to, them you tell them don't want to think. They don't know, but I say, but have you tried to talk to them?
Yeah, but you see, remember we discussed this with when Lady Adana was here, that a lot of people just want to go and talk to or talk at the children and not talk with.
Yeah.
You understand? And I feel like because of how much things we do together, we see that the youths and them want somebody to talk to. They want people to talk to.
Yeah.
You understand? But nobody want to listen to them.
That is it.
We want to come and tell them what we feel we want them to hear.
Yeah.
You understand? And people not willing to have the real heart-to-heart conversations with them, the hard conversations. Yo, what is really going on, boy? Why are you doing the things that you're doing and thing, you know? And that's one of the things that, I mean, mentorship is something that don't stop.
Yeah.
You know, I see one of my friends went and talked to she old school the other day, and I was like, how come more people don't do this, boy? You know, I understand everybody busy, but
a big part of that is we do have that mentality here.
Yeah.
So, in and around here, since we started that group we started, that word mentorship is the most amount of time I've ever heard it in my life.
True.
But realistically speaking, even with some of the other places where we'd have live discussions and things, mentorship is not something that is something that's promoted. It's a part of our culture. It's not part of our culture here in Trinidad and Tobago. So where you get it in the spaces and places where you get the proper speakers. And that kind of thing. And nothing against that, you know. But it's time for we now to adopt it and make it a part. We don't even have to use that word mentor.
Yeah. But Karen said something that is very real. We don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Right? And they need somebody to listen to them. Right? Because the moment we stop listening, they will go and talk to somebody else.
Oh, well, then them is the people we know them talking
right?
to.
Then that's where you do what them talking.
Talking to them people.
When I walk Paradise Heights, I tell that girl, tell me, police is always come and bust down she door because the fellas is lying around by her. They respect her and respect her husband, right? The police has said she husband is the gang leader. Now, what she does do, she get them, she just do printing and things, so she'll get them little work to do, so they will hang around her, right? And I said but if the police keep doing that, why the police don't realize that you know, you have 6 young fellas here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they may be looking shady,
Mm-hmm.
but then have a conversation and say, ma'am, I realize these fellas by you, what we could do to help them. What are their problem? What's the problem? What's the issue?
Mm-hmm.
Instead they come in and because they're looking a particular way, you're coming in, you're only kicking on the door. You only because why you have them as a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But all you know, the same police is who one to the police youth clubs that we talk about, that we grew up knowing.
Yeah.
Right? These same police, right? Instead the power that you have to come and kick down a door is the same power because they will come and they will respect you. Because if you drive in with the jeep and you jump out with your big gun,
Yeah.
the boss. They don't respect you already. So use that opportunity to talk to them. Say, fellas, come now, let me talk.
Yeah.
What's the problem? But I don't want to say this, but better not say it. Better
But
not say it.
again, some of these things we talking here is because it's not a natural part of our culture. And when I say culture, I mean the way we just live, the things we are accustomed to, the things we just do daily. Right? So you see somebody look a certain kind of way. I mean, I know that we guilty. Right? Yeah, either you lock your card or you put your heighten awareness. But in the communities and them, they nobody in. And that's why I tell people I don't like the term ghetto.
Yeah.
Especially when I learn the origins of that word. That word had nothing to do with we, you know.
No.
Right? But when we keep referring to the place as a ghetto, I don't know ghetto, any one of these things what we just call planets. When you look at it, so you telling me that we say Maloney, the size of Maloney, all them people living in a ghetto? Nah, I don't like that at all now because again, it hidden there in when you send a policeman to work Maloney, who from somewhere not like Maloney, where he mindset coming in there. His mindset coming in there is that he going to work in the ghetto, and he had to go on like a imps for people to respect him.
Yeah. I didn't want to say that, but sometimes the same people who call themselves law enforcement, when they go to these fellas, they intimidate these fellas and make these fellas basically work for them. In the sense that, okay, you're more looking at to make them snitches, right? And yeah, well, you lock here for me. And that's not what we want. We want you as law enforcement, as officers, as persons that they will respect to come up and say, hey, for all you come, right? We have some work to do in the station, right? We have some files to file. Come, let me teach you how to write, how to read, why we not doing that? Right? Bring them and see what's going on. We have all the officers had a vehicle to wash. It's 45 wash, but we go give all the 20. Right? Wash all the police vehicles. Why we can't do that? Right? But no, you want to kick down the door. You want to put them in this
Again.
light, and then you some of them say they pick them up, put them in certain areas, and tell them run.
So
why are we doing that?
The mentality is not based on empowerment.
No.
So that's why some of the conversations me and you had over the last 4 years, and then listening to some of the things you're saying that you want to do, if elected, like, we not hearing that, boy. Like, we not hearing that because again, it's never really empowerment was never really pushed. No, Karen is called for something. The programs and them there. So that would have gone between with, you know. They're going and between with the body, but look, it's 12 programs there, nobody can deny that. But the programs there, but the mindset of empowerment. Breads, it have no way to go and push them programs in what we just call the ghetto, and you just drop the pamphlets with information for them 12 programs and they get full. That shit not going to happen.
Let me tell you something.
But that would have beaten me with the programs and MD.
Let me tell you something, right? I don't miss a budget speech. Right? I don't miss a budget speech.
Why?
Right? Because there information there that will affect me.
Right.
Will benefit me. Right? And will benefit persons or affect persons around me, right? So I always want to know what the budget say. And I had a conversation some time ago with a young lady from church, and she's saying that, but
the budget, that thing's there for the people. And whatever. I say, okay, but in this budget, you could tell me some of the things that you see that are beneficial to you. And yet because you didn't pay attention to the budget, right? The program's there, right? How you accessing the programs? It's a form. You may have to download it. You may have to go online. The persons that we want to get into the program might be the guys on the block. Some of them come out of school, some of them drop out of school, some of them may not even know how to start to fill the form. You print the form and you give them the form. It's 4 pages, front and back. They start to watch this and they're like, boy, they get intimidated, right? Now, if that is the case, then what we need to do is realize that we have a catchment of young fellas, men, women, young ladies, who may not know how to probably read, right? So here what's going on. Instead of the embarrassment of they will feel by looking at this form and don't know how to do it, you pull them aside and in that catchment you realize that these 4 persons don't know how to fill this form, right? So you deal with them not by filling the form, by getting them into something like Alta or whatever that will teach them how to read, how to write. And that because a lot of them might be embarrassed just because the form long, right? The program's there, right? Same thing in the when the budget speech is read and completed, all these sweet things are there, right? But how much persons read it? How much persons sit down and listen to it? How much persons know that okay, it had solar thing in the budget from since 2010, right, or 2009, right? How many persons know about that, right? You have persons who probably know of it, but don't know how to even go about access. They talk about digital transformation about 4 budget street, right? That ministry full of old people. Digital transformation, right? You have a bunch of people, old people in there who probably don't even know how to do WhatsApp web, right? But you're telling me you have a ministry of digital transformation, right? So again, the things may be there, but to access it just as this thing, self-help and all them kind of thing, it there. And sometimes when in my work, you talk to some person, they say, apply for self-help, right? How accessible it is, they apply, and then it's hoops and all kind of thing to jump through to get it, right? Because why? You just, that come like you come home and your mother take out your food and you just push it there.
I'm gonna just read this now.
Push it there.
Yeah, I don't want to read that.
that again.
Right, so she say, Taika say, for your information, folks, Alta is always looking for teachers. Just about 3 weeks ago, I was in a meeting, and the Alta come in and asked people to sign up and mention that, yeah, they will take, there's about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, she say, they're always looking for volunteers, and you can decide your schedule. Right, well, she say, no, ministry of that again, what I mean?
Now that well, the change. They changed it to something else.
Right.
Is ministry of AI?
Yeah, something else.
Digital transformation, yeah.
Yeah, something on here.
Right. I just want to hear out some of the people on them here. Well, Taika here, Aquino here, Chef Damian here, Jamel here, Mommy here, Miguel here. I seen Crystal Alexander Philip. Good night. Huh?
Nah, like somebody from church.
Right.
That was one of my Walkman and campaign people too.
Right.
So she messaged me on TikTok and then she realized, I don't know what, sorry, I don't know what happened to you. She know I know you.
Yeah.
Based on what you went through with this thing here, you see yourself going back with it again?
Yeah, I can't stop by.
Yeah.
Now, strange, I met the elected fella in church in a funeral yesterday. I shake hand and I say, congratulations back coming for your seat. He watch me. I say, I will be on you. I will be writing you. I will be, I have, because our community needs fixing. right? And well, we had to work together. I said, that is okay. I said, but I am your opponent and I will be on you, right? I said, because what I saw, and then he started relate the same things he see. I said, but I couldn't sleep the night. I said, you couldn't sleep? I said, I stand up in my shower when I done these walks and cry because when I see what people had to face in the back of Massey, right? Down in Monrepo, down in Angelina Terrace, right? The spring I used to bathe in was on the one side of the road. They run it with a pipe, a 4-inch PVC pipe under the ground to the next side of the road in a drain, and people filling water in this big to go up a hill, right?
In
But
2025.
2025, but we have supported people that has not been able to, let me say, support us,
But they
right?
didn't
In
feel the
return,
need to because we put the pressure on them, as you say.
the same fella tell me, he did tell me, and he probably look at it and felt it that it was almost a loss, right? But the stronghold thing, and we have to be careful of we using these terms as strongholds and see, because to me stronghold means something that is you're bound and bind to carry it to a different place, which is not a good thing, right?
We know it's not struggle again because
So
we see that this election.
I told him, I told him, I told him, I say, I will be on you. I will be writing. I will, because at the end of the day, right? You could say a walk and you see, right? But then what are you going to do? Right? What are you going to do? Right now, I trying to find a way now in my work. That same Crystal Alexander and few others, I know she building a database for the person that we spoke to. We got their address, we have their phone numbers, and so with this, once she come finish that database, I am going to now contact these people, right? You have persons who say they wanted a wheelchair, who want, and I will, try to see how best I could help with those needs. Whether it be I go to the minister, whether I go to the whoever, but I have to be able to connect because I promise the people, whatever is the result, I would be back, right?
And that's one of the things that in conversing with people in the shop, you hear them say, boy, we wish PF did come out a little earlier.
Yeah.
We wish this, we wish that, we wish the next, right? But here what I say, the results don't show that.
Yeah.
The results don't show it, right? Because when you sit down and you look at the numbers, the statistics in terms of who voted, how much people voted for who. While you're talking frustration, and that's something I write on Facebook, while you're talking frustration, while you're tired of the yellow, tired of the red, right? In 1 minute you vote out the mustard, next minute you're voting in the ketchup. And it's like, yo, well, let's be serious about what we're saying, right? And then when you start to corner them with certain things, when you say, well, yo, did you really manifesto? No.
Yeah.
A manifesto is just talk. So what am I holding you to?
Accountable to.
What am I holding you to? You understand? Because even if you say to me, I go in and do X, right? Because we hear a ton load of promises.
Yeah.
Right? And I will be standing here just like the MPs and them when they pass here and I tell them, I say, let me tell you something. I'm not one of them constituents who just hear. You understand?
Yeah.
I know where your office is.
Yeah.
And I know where you're responsible for. And if it is I'm not getting it, I'm going to be on you. You understand?
Yeah.
And I was told by two of them, your boy and one of the red. Fella from the red. And he said to me, he said, listen, that's what we need. We need more constituents like all you who are going to come out and write us and tell us, yo, we need A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and hold all you accountable. Right? But when I read the statistics and I see 100 and something thousand people here vote, 54%, 56% of the population is one vote.
Yeah.
Right? But then it's status going on Facebook and thing and who vex and But the reality is, all you had a third option, a fourth option is 17 parties, inclusive of how much?
17, yeah.
Right, inclusive of all the independents and thing, right?
Yeah.
So you trying to tell me that at no point you ain't listen to Gary, you ain't listen to what is the crazy girl name? APP, right?
Let me get some quick stats, right?
Yeah.
What was registered to vote in Laventel East Mova was 25,000 352 persons.
Right.
You know how many voted?
Tell me.
9,781. You know how much didn't vote? 15,571 did not vote.
That's crazy. So
Not
when you
even half
right.
voted.
So when you say to me that you belong to a quote unquote stronghold, right? And you fed up, but you have an opportunity to change that.
Yeah.
I tell one of my school brethren that he telling me in the group, he stoops when a man posting in any group duty done. He stoops. Boy, that don't make no sense.
Yeah.
We're voting for and thing. And then he went on further to say, my counselor had something and nobody in the area know about it. And how she ain't advertise and she ain't this and she ain't that. I said, well, that's exactly why I was supposed to vote.
Yeah.
Because if you have a problem with that as your counselor, local government coming up soon,
Yeah.
make the choice and get rid of it. You understand? Because the message is not being received.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. Because all the kiksi thing and the kikiki and the kakaka and the this is the code and that is the code. Right? The reality is how much people did not vote,
Yeah.
but had to deal with that now. You understand? And whatever decisions they decide to make, we are all involved in it.
Yeah.
So it come down, now we remove the yellow, and you're now representing the country. You know? So guess what? Whatever you do, whatever happen, the fact that you had no part to play in this,
Yeah.
you had to take some
Yeah.
shocks.
So I want to say this, we cannot also leave out the fact that a lot of people disillusioned with our so-called democratic process
Agreed.
via the, now I shouldn't even say the democratic process, the disillusion with the organizations that we had to choose from.
Right.
That's why, for me, it was really interesting. I purposely stayed away from the political talk this campaign. Because 2020 showed me for sure. 2020, I used to block somebody I used to work with. Somebody used to have me in the car, drop me home. If I did get a chance, you understand? When I see the kind of vile, nasty things,
Yeah.
this person putting up being somebody of a different ethnicity to me, I make sure I message them and let them know I'm real disappointed in you. I say, because you know me as a black conscious man, and you can never say I disrespect you or anybody from your ethnic group like that.
Yeah.
Right? And 2020, you just kind of see it. I remember we had the time, plenty we were still home. We had the time to write and study and stew on things now. And this time I just decided, boy, I know why I'm listening for, right? The idea that the things that I think they're not talking is how disillusioned, as you say earlier, how disconnected some people feel about who we have to vote for, and the fact that plenty of them don't understand what you're now saying, that if you're disillusioned with one or two, look, three come and give you an option. Go, even if you feel as you alone. How come we looking at some of these stats and seeing zero?
But well, that whole thing with that zero thing, that is as it coming, right? That was as it coming. But the thing is, when you look at 2020, right? I thought it was COVID.
Taika, right? We coming to you just now, them comments just now.
I thought it was COVID, right? Because the red I think got 10,000, the yellow got 2,000, and then whoever got probably about 40, 50. It wasn't much, right? 70 something or whatever. I thought it was COVID. But persons has been disenchanted then. So less persons come out. And they disenchanted now. So more persons didn't come out, not to come out. Right? And even the fella the who won told me, say it was not basically said it wasn't looking good. Right? But he had a meeting in 6 and that is what got people to kind of come out. But his thing was 5,000. The other people was 3,000. right? 3,000 something. That made up plus what I got made up the 9,000, right? That came out and vote. So it's becoming lesser and lesser that persons really and truly want to exercise their franchise.
And that is not just down to worthlessness.
No.
No, they're not
A big
satisfied.
part of that is a big part of that is people just not. I think them underestimate how people felt about that raise in salary.
Yeah.
Knowing the conditions that some people under in the country. I ain't even talking about public servants yet, because public servants could still get a little, even it might not be the amount you think you deserve, right? But I talking about the general populace. Just recently looking for place for rent, when you see and hear the kind of prices for places, and then here what is the average salary in Trinidad and Tobago of between $4,000 to $5,000 is what the majority of the country working on. And I'm watching you and showing you a one bedroom, big like a closet, and telling you 3,000.
But before I go to the comments, right? I just want to say this too. That same thing I talk about. That same thing with the salary. And when you walk, people just talk to you. A man telling me, say, boy, nothing wrong with you taking your raise, you know. He said, but you take 47. He said, could I take 40? Give me 7, along with the 4, make it 11, and I'll be good with that. Right? So people, I mean, again, these are things that conversations, right? If you're disconnected with the people, you wouldn't know how the people feel, right? And you wouldn't know what the people need and what they want.
I don't think it's a situation of them not knowing it. I feel they just didn't care.
They don't care.
Because it always happens. If you look at the history of the Red Party, you will see it. Every time they get a 2 term, the second term, it is be arrogance. You know, because we inside, everything God. You understand?
Yeah.
But the message was received this grounds because just tonight I was having a conversation with a brethren where his mother was saying that, you know, he find people on the ground who saying that they should not be, the reason why they don't want Stuart is because he's not a black man, right? But if the predominant faction of your party is African people, then you have to put representation there. And they have told you on more than one occasion, we don't want him. Right? So when you telling yourself in your head, you're trying to be all inclusive and you're trying to be all encompassing and all of that nonsense. Cool, you know. But the reality is, the people who is voting for you, pa, are who? The black man. You understand? And the black man abstain. If you look at if you look at the results, the black people abstain from the vote. You understand? But the East Indian people, and this is not a knock, they vote regardless. You understand? That is why Pandey say what he say. When he say you could put a quote in Hoover North and they will vote UNC. And you could put a crapo in Lavantil and they will vote for BNN. Eric Williams say that, you understand?
I will put a Balizio and a crapo and you go vote for it.
Right? But that's what it is.
That's real
and again, that is political abuse and political disrespect.
Of
course. Because you can't tell me this is somebody who you want to represent. As you say, who looks like you, who is you, right? And you want to say, you could do them anything, right?
And you will still vote.
What's with that political abuse? That had to stop. And unless that come like a woman getting abuse all the time, and unless she stand up and take a knife and not violence, but what I say, unless she respond and say enough is enough, right? The man, then he will stop. So unless people rise up and say, here what's going on, whether it be red, yellow, unless people say, whoever is the party, if it is that you're disenfranchised and you're not for the people anymore, and people start to realize that, they'll get up and say enough is enough. You can't have somebody who you just pay a mechanic to fix your car, right?
He tell you it
He
fix.
tell you it fix.
Yeah.
You drive out and the transmission leaking oil. You see here what's going on. I'm not going back to buying a mechanic. You're going to find a next mechanic.
Yeah.
This mechanic now still in do a good job. You're going back to the first mechanic. Come on, man. You're going back to the first mechanic.
It can't easier. No better than that. Yeah. No better than that.
So you don't know other mechanic.
But that analogy that you just give is a major reason why so much people not going to the polls. Because we talking and I telling people, I say, boy, they're crying on people, but when we say you can go and vote so you don't know say. But think about it now. You read logic today now is the lesser of two evils. I am not comfortable with that. I've never been comfortable with that.
I have told many people on the campaign trail, and I say, but I don't voted, it don't make sense. I say, but if you don't vote, right? A fella jump up and say, but they and they go give the winning party it. I say they don't get nobody it. I say when you don't vote, the person you don't want to be there will end up there. You have to go and say, hey,
I don't want that. Yeah.
Right?
And that's what I feel, Chris. A lot of people not getting. A lot of people feeling that voting is frivolous.
Yeah.
It is not. Tronald Dump. Tronald Dump, bro.
But
look at him. He is there as a result of people not voting.
Not voting.
And people who decide they're going and vote for him.
But not only that, he give them the goodies and talk tariff.
Right.
And none of them understand what it's tariff.
Wait mean. Yeah.
Wait mean.
Yeah.
Tariff is a tax on imported goods. So when it is you take, we put in a tariff on China.
Yeah. Okay.
No problem.
China.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes.
Anything that coming from China is 125%.
Yes.
Who had to buy it? Your citizens had to buy
Maga.
it. So they're not going and buy it. So you call and I mean, well, all in know I the custom brokerage and shipping arena, right? So let me just plug it there quick for and let some of the viewers understand something. With that tariff, I mean across the Caribbean, most countries is 10%. I think Guyana is 38%. All that will do is just make us not competitive with things that going into the US from Trinidad or any other Caribbean country because it's at 10%, right? Trade on its whole becomes fair when there are some trade agreements, right? So if Trinidad goods going into the US, freer duty and taxes, it makes Trinidad more competitive. So persons buy your things, buy more of your things. If it is that you put a tax on it, whatever coming in, people will say, boy, me ain't buying that one now. So they wouldn't buy the
more expensive.
Right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
Right? They will buy probably something that probably coming from somewhere else. It might be the same corncles, but this one cheaper. The one from China more expensive. Why it more expensive? Because there's a tax on it going into the country. Right? It will just make us less competitive. Right? When you see, like, there are a lot of things that we import here that don't originate in the US, right?
Yeah.
So you have certain meats that will come from Australia, Uruguay, China, Chile, and that, but they will pack and sell in the US. So if you have tariffs from those countries, obviously when we buying it out of the US now,
we pay the whole price.
To pay more.
Yeah.
We're going to pay more. So that whole tariff war thing is a big upset that a lot of people may feel we would but we will be affected because we are high consumers of imported goods, right? Unless we find a way that the meat or the whatever your steak come from Australia and come straight to here, right? Then all right, because certain meats do have no duties and taxes.
Yeah.
But if it pass through the US, it still have no duties and taxes coming here, but the person will pay more for it before it sells here. Right?
But do we have that as based on the size of our economy? Could we make those changes?
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I see could happen, and I've told the sheep and goat farmer, this Shiraz, I can't remember his name. We have a lot of land in Trinidad, right?
Right.
But what you need to do is somebody need to get the tenacity and the political will to probably go at these farms that are abroad, these Australians and whoever, see the models of these farms and come here and say, well, look, this is what we're doing, right? I think one of the chicken people have a program where they give you 1,000 chicken to mine, give you a feed thing, and they come and they buy back the chicken from you. We could do the same thing with cow, we could do the same thing with goat, we could do the same thing with sheep.
Right.
Right? You come and you drop some cattle by this farmer, right? And he rear it, he mine wherever, because I've a customer that import meat, right? When you see cow heel in a box, right? Is 8 pieces of cow heel. Eight the cow heel about this, right? 8. So that is 2 cow in a box. A container of 1,200 or 1,250 cases. Right? You know how much cow is that?
That's a lot of cows.
That's
man.
a lot of cow.
That's a lot of cows, man.
Right? Same thing with pigtail, same thing with oxtail and all of that. And a box of oxtail have about probably 6 pieces of the oxtail in a box. About 2,200
Something
boxes.
I always tell Karen, and I hear you saying that and it's in my head, but some real things we be involved in and don't realize how much economies we funded, you know. Because you saying that one container is 700 cow, 600 and something cow, right? We have land going down all Princess Town and thing. We can remember.
Yeah. Oh. But you see, and then oh gosh, I feel we go run out of time, but again, as we talking, these are things that all right. So if we start to do it here, right? Our importer might find he may lose money because he can't bring it in and sell, right? But you could get these same importers to invest in the farms, right? Because if you invest in the farms, right, then obviously your returns, right? Yeah. So it had different things, right? I know you have some comments.
So I'll go back up from. Just greetings.
Miguel say you are up my Douglas party. Right. I tell you about that, why you talking, sticking, boy, open the party now, boy.
You gotta go by Sonny Roberts.
And Roberts.
I call it
Yo, I don't care.
Yeah, but he said tunnel jump.
Tunnel jump, yeah. Now because we can get it done for that. I ain't trying to get this show take down for that.
Right? So, like I was saying, plenty of people don't know what is the role and responsibility of the MPs and councillors. Yeah. And that is something that we was talking to our partner, that is all their responsibility to educate us on what that is. Yeah. You understand? But again, Dr. John Henry Clark always say that when your enemy or your oppressor, they would not educate you. Because when you educate it,
they may rise up against you.
Right? So if we find out true, really and truly, because one of the problems I have, right? Use an MP. You campaign and beg for this job. And then you only in office one day for the week. For
3 hours.
3 hours. I have a serious problem with that. So, as hard as it might be, it's either you make up your mind to be in the politics and you're in the politics 4 days a week because Friday is Parliament. Yeah. Or you leave it to somebody who could get the time, you know. Because how it is, people lining up by your office 5 o'clock in the morning and they still ain't guaranteed to see you. Yeah. Right. Like I say, also we need constitutional reform, because I was still wondering how a minister doing ministerial duties and being an MP effectively. Right? Again.
No, what I have seen, just pause with the comment. What I have seen, and I believe that it could work, right? Is that you had to set up a system whereas persons could contact you, right? You had to have the persons in the office not just taking the information and not passing it on, right? Because you have people who will say they went and the MP say, they say the MP now they take the information and they never call them back, right? So sometimes it's not even the MP's fault, it's whoever in the office and that kind of thing. I believe that you have to set aside that time for the people. You must just remember, you went and you asked these people for your votes. You can't say that you don't have time for them. You can't say that Parliament finish 2 o'clock in the morning and you ain't get to do anything. Nah, you can't say that because Parliament is closed more times than it opens sometimes, right? Parliament has had recess and had just be closed for some lengthy periods. So what about those times that you know it do have Parliament? You can't go and talk to your people. Is it that you and
Well, because they're busy doing other things.
but I believe that the MP, the minister, the member of Parliament is the CEO. Your councillors, your aldermen is your managers and your supervisors. You cannot tell me that there's a road to fix, right? And you telling me that the councillors and them, yeah, every time you go by the council, no. If I am the CEO and I tell you that had to fix, you had to go and fix that. So then there's a disconnect in the managerial levels of things, right? Because if the minister not coming and or he telling the councillors that it had to get fixed, we had to get and it's still not fixing it, then what's going on, right? Who running who running the show, right? Who running the show?
Here, Taika now, Pona. Taika say the country, the economy is so hard, even elected officials have side hustles. Being an MP is their side hustle, among other things. Cough, cough. and they were saying that, like, so I remember we was talking that earlier that it had a returning MP who said outright that MP salary can't mind him. He can't live on that.
Well, they can probably live on it now because it raised.
But were you telling the public there? You understand? Because the majority of the people in the country who you telling that to now working for half of your salary. So we're telling the people, and then that means you are doing things that is taking you away from your MP duties. Yeah. And as Taika now was, there are some people who is ministers and there are some people who is ministers and MPs. So you're a minister and an MP. Oh God, there's no self I can see you.
High madness.
You know?
But that was part of the reform bill. That
yeah.
MP, whether they work, they work.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
I am a strong advocate for that, boy.
Yeah.
You just hear these talk and then when people say they go to the I'm trying to see the MP today, you know, boy, and that they leave home 4 o'clock in the morning.
According to as I told you, I was building a database. I still will be building a database, and there are some plans that I have that persons will be able to contact or reach me. And if I say it here, some one of them minister might take it, but I go say it off here. But there's too much things out there in 2025 that allows you, right, to be connected with somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Too many things. And I'm not talking about WhatsApp.
So let me get see. Why are there people over 60 in office? No, I know that people wouldn't agree with it, but sometimes that is a big question. Because as you now say, it has some dinosaurs in certain offices.
Yeah.
That's why you can't get digital transformation.
Yeah.
Right? Because they don't understand it and them don't want nothing that them don't understand because then that will really show you that they ain't really supposed to be here now. Right? So there's a whole other can of worms by itself. I feel we should have a cutoff age for
mandatory retirement.
Yeah.
But it's not just a cutoff age, you know. Persons have to be able to understand we need to bring up young people. Yeah. I was in a credit union and we were doing some changes and thing, right? And one of the things was, you know, we need to go digital and we need to do certain things and whatever, right? So me being the vice president, I said, here we go. I said we have to move to where somebody could go online, apply for a loan and do certain things, you know, online, right? Somebody say, yeah, but it have old people may not be able to do it online and whatever. I say, that's okay, you know. I say, but you know what's the sad thing about it? They're going to die one day. They find out was harsh. Right? But if we keep just wanting to satisfy that that generation of people, they're going to phase out, and when they're no longer there, we're now going to play catch up.
We're behind bad.
Right? So you have to put it in place. Right? You have to put these things in place. You have to be able to bring up the young people, right, to where we want them to be. Right? You can't sit down and say, these people too old. They have to realize they're too old. Right?
Planning.
They have to realize they're too old, and they need to start to let go things. Right?
So,
and in our community, sometimes what happens is that we have businesses too. And we don't even want to bring up our sons, our daughters in it, because we feel, well, we want to hold on to it. And we feel that if we give them it, we giving them giving them things on a platter and all them kind of thing. Right? We had to get them involved so that we'll have continuity. And if we don't get them involved to have continuity, what's going to happen to our community? What's going to happen to the black community?
So, Taika say something here. Politicians ain't go like she at all. She say a minister should have to campaign to prove to me why he or she should be in charge of a ministry.
And you should be able to prove why said ministry falls under your purview.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't tell me you have a lawyer who in Ministry of Finance.
Yeah. Well, one of the things in my screen and my
even if your minor was economics,
my political leaders asked me outright what ministry I feel like, and I told her.
True.
Yeah, I told her Ministry of Trade.
It can't be nothing else.
Right, because that's why I know
anything else. We coming for you.
I know custom brokerage, I know shipping, I deal with. This is what I deal with. This is what I live in now. Right. I know the trade agreements. I know, and I always try to be accurate with if there are changes, if there are any bilateral agreements that has been changed, shifted. These are things that I know. So you're going to put me what to do transport, right?
No.
We're going to put me to finance.
Yeah, we go put you.
I can check my money. I can check my money.
Miguel said, when we was talking about how, that's how they say some old people might need to say. He said that is what I call excursion mentality, and he went on to explain the boss leave at 8 a.m. but 11 o'clock they're still there waiting for one man. You can't get better than that in terms of describing that. And it's not harshness, is all right. So them older people mightn't be able to do it. But here what? Let them just contact the bank or contact the relevant ministry. I really don't I don't understand this. Okay, come into us so day. Every day for it. So one day for the week we set aside Tuesday for the senior citizens and them to come and we will help them. We have 3 people dedicated here to help them see about that.
And that's the same thing with the banks. The banks telling everybody go online banking, but Tanti can't do online banking. Right? However, they cannot wait on them. So they roll out the online banking thing, and some of them necessarily, online banking, go on online banking. But do you have someone in the bank that they could carry them in a room, sit them down, show or let them come with somebody that they trust to show them how to do it?
So what we were talking earlier,
go on your online banking and you close the door on them.
We were talking earlier. We do have that mentality in Trinidad that say that all of that come back to the mentorship, because you telling me now you have a CEO, a CFO, and all them C's and thing that making all this kind of money. One of them bank and them with the square logo post $1 billion profit in 6 months, right? And not one person in there and say, all them old people ain't gonna be able to do that. So here we do, right? We rolling out something here where any of our customers that over 60 or 65, whatever age they decide, that say that, they're coming in twice a week. We letting them know, we sending out, we calling them. Because where's it a thing to put up an algorithm, all the customers who active over 60 or 65, and we calling them in, we're gonna show them what to do. Nobody, not one of them people who make all them people making all that kind of money in them organizations and them. Nobody in for them thing because we do have that mentality here.
Because it goes back to customer service, right? We lacking that bad in every different.
We'll see CEO Davison watches in your
right?
house.
Every different facet we lacking that in the public service. We lacking that in some of the the banks, the groceries.
So that I'm glad they say that, I'm glad they say that because I work in the so-called public sector via the Green Phone Company, dealing with the public for 7.5 years, right? But everything other than that and before that was private. And I say people say, oh, the public sector, the workers in terms of attitude and thing, and they're wrong, you know. But the private is no different, you know.
No.
Because you go in the big cosmetic store, the attitudes stink. You go in the chicken place,
Same thing.
attitudes stink. Right?
And then we want to talk about tourism, Jen. We can't talk about tourism.
No, we're going different with the tourists.
No.
Not
in Trinidad. Tobago.
Tobago.
I know, but I said, what are you talking about? White tourists.
Right?
But it's a black tourist.
But here it is now. Again, so it all goes back to that thing that we talk about mentorship. Because if we see in this now, right? But who listening to me? Because a conversation me and you had, and you tell me you send a proposal or a recommendation since 2009 or something. So for something that look how long now 2009 was, it's not implemented yet. And some countries in the world is an old system now.
Yeah. But Vosi was here, right? And he said that one of the things that will kill us and killing us in Trinidad is service. Right? He said because he stayed in Hyatt, right? He said that this girl, well, let me use her name, Michelle. Michelle come and serve him, right? But Stacy, well, they're waiting for Michelle to come back. Michelle, they just get them tea and that. He says Stacy realized what happened, and Stacy came across and say, you all okay? You all need anything and whatever? And they say, well, we need this, whatever. Stacy, that wasn't her station, it wasn't her dealing. She left, she come, she deal with it, and she stayed with them, right through. And he said, if I had to come back here, it's because of Stacy.
Not
right?
Michelle.
Not Michelle. It's because of Stacy. Right? And we have a serious issue with persons and service. Doesn't matter where you go. And why now granted that whoever leave home coming to work, they might be vexed from home, they come to work and they vex.
All them people ain't coming to vex all the time.
No, listen to what I said.
I talking from working next to people, I talking from seeing people get bad service and I talk about lead customer with to go wrong to say, Mr. Christopher, right? When I'm done, just come to me because I know, see, every day you come into work.
No, what I say is not every day, but what I'm saying is that granted that that person come to work and they're not, and then now you as the customer pushing off a certain negative energy to the same way, right? Because I remember in New York at time, a fella buying a them with a fresh gum thing. So he can I have this one? The girl bought it. He said no, not that one, and she just keep pointing at the wrong thing. Right? He man said, "Come here, man, are you damn stupid? I just told you that one." Right? And I come back here and I buy KFC. And I ask the girl for pizza for side breast. And you telling me you gave me attitude and whatever. I wanna cuss you down because you just not understanding that customer service, right, is a key. Because I come in to buy the product.
The only thing I want to tell you about that, right? You don't cost people who serve your food. Right? Especially if they could turn the back and you're not see. Right? Go ahead. Yeah, right? You don't play that at all.
No, but and it's serious because
the breads, I'm telling you, but you see that part I don't take into consideration of how a customer come at you.
Yeah.
I remember telling the company, don't send me a no customer service training again. Because all the customer service training unrealistic. All they send me on a training 5 days long. I was glad to be out the office, but 5 days long. And while we in the training, one of the talk is, you know, a customer hit you or something, you can retaliate or nothing. And I find that so unrealistic now, right? Same time, you know, the company had its own security as well as private security. So the company security person, I just so happen to know the two of them, ask them to step in the meeting for a second. Because the talk was the security down the compound wasn't for the people, it was for the money. Right? They say, well, yeah, people just say that, but what people are not going to, if you're security, we're going to do not protect the people if something happens. Right?
Yeah.
I say on this idea of a customer hitting him because we see it. I see that in my time twice. Right? Man look around. Say, boy, you gotta beat people, you know, and then it done. We go sort out that after, you know. But they don't ever take into consideration the reality that somebody coming there with a bad attitude towards you now.
And it deals with conflict resolution, because conflict not only mean physical, because you can have a verbal conflict, you know.
Yeah,
and
most of it was verbal.
conflict resolution is something that we have to even put in schools. I
Schools,
feel,
for
right?
sure.
From
preschool. And moral ethics and things, you need to bring those things back in school. Because when it is you just as you're saying, you're doing a customer service training, right? But if from in school they never teach us how to resolve an issue with somebody that doesn't say the same thing you say, or just been lashing off at you, how do you deal with that? Right? You drag them over the counter, you give them two, and you just fold them back over like a puppet, they drag on the ground like a doll, and no, but you know, right? I
Now,
mean,
it's serious in the sense that when you look at the fights that we see in school children and things today, one of the things I tell them, I not coming down on them, training them, because I fight in school too. But one of the things I look at and I really ask my friends and them and try to remember from my personal experiences, boy, is the
ferocity.
Yeah, the viciousness in it now, like you don't want to stop now, right? Yeah, the anger and for me, there's a reflection of the wider society, and that's why I personally I tell them, oh, I look at the close off for this one, and I want to say this a kind of weird way. That's one of the reasons why when I see where I could have vote is we use, it's like, right, because I know you personally. And I also know you on a different level as well now. Tell people one of the things that stand out for me is when that car mash up your wall. Other people will be all cussing, got the wall mash up, but you want to cheer for the people and them, water to see if you have bandage and all kind of thing. We don't want 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Because the wall could fix,
You understand?
Fix, you know. If
But
the
what
man
I'm
break his
saying-
neck in my yard,
What I'm saying is, we when you that thought is usually when you calm down or long after. That's some people might never reach it. But immediately when it happened, like people to vote for. So now I go in the thing to vote, and this thing in front of me, I see that man name, I know. I see that address, I know. You see that feeling? I go figure that feeling.
I appreciate
but it's
that.
also ties back into what I was now talking about, the anger and everything. The people that we have been electing for the last 20 years who vex with me could vex with me. They're not doing anything to work on that from a school child level.
Right. And before we close up and they say I want to be a last thing, I want to say that anger stems from home, right? Now, you have a lot of them may have single parents. They may have 2 parents in the house. But the dialogue those parents have is nothing short of argument, right? I grew up with a single mother, right? And I mean, my mother did well.
Right.
I really appreciate my mother and whatever.
Right.
Right? Not and whatever, but I really appreciate my mother.
Of course.
Right? And what she taught me and how she brought me up, right? I never see she say, you see this? Only father leave me and gone. And I never hear my mother say that. Right? I never see my mother dispel any kind of anger because she had to feed me, clothe me, or do buy my books or do anything. I never heard it. So when people hearing that, because remember children making children, all right?
Yeah.
And they don't know, right? When they see that anger being portrayed at home, you're coming out and you're doing it in school. Because the teacher can't talk to you. Your friends, you're vexed with your friends, and because that's what you're seeing home. Mommy and daddy just argue, or mommy argue with big sister, cussing with granny, and so you have that problem. So they're going in school now with that same attitude, right? The final thing is that we have on the helm of Trinidad and Tobago right now, women. The president,
Prime
the
Minister.
prime minister, the opposition leader, and the speaker of the house. Right? My question to that, where is where our men? Right? Nothing is wrong with, I mean, that have persons will say, you want a woman in leadership for different reasons, right?
One of them. That to me is a kind of stupid
Right.
thinking. I can't say it.
Right? That, but
Balance.
my mother led my household, right? And she did well, right? But the thing is, where is our men? What are we saying for our young boys? What are we saying for our young men, right? Is it that we don't have enough men to rise up and stand up and really and truly take the mantle and say, well, look, this is what we're doing for my family, for my country, for my people, for my peers, right? Where's the men?
In this situation here, for me, it's a little tricky. The reason why I say it's a little tricky is that it wasn't planned.
No, and I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I know that. And
Right? But because though you are the woman and the move, and this is why I do like that man and woman talk. Because I tell them always we is getting to this man and woman talk, and then we is never talk balance with the man and woman talk now. Because you are the woman and the move on board now. We understand what Christopher saying. All the years is only men it had. Yo, understand what we saying, that's not the issue. Because all the years we had men, look at who he is right now. So what we're going on, then scientifically speaking, we could probably posit that women going on take it another extreme way as well, like in Trinidad and Tobago. All we have is extremes.
So they're going far left or you're going far right.
But women are incubators. Give
Multipliers.
and multipliers. Give a woman a rice and peas, and she'll give you a full meal. Right? You will feel it a chicken in it. When my mother used to cook macaroni and sausage and just crack an egg in that, right? You're doubting. You feel as that is something you buy in a restaurant, right? When my mother used to cook fried dry and jacks, right?
We don't know the fried dry. We don't know easy fried dry.
When I see kingfish, I say, "Mommy, look, fried dry get big." Because kingfish and fried dry look the same, right? Right? But women are incubators and multipliers, and I'm not undoubtedly saying that they will do a good job in doing you know, they won't do a good in doing what they need to do. Men are providers and protectors, right? That's what we're supposed to do, right? My question is, where is our men? Even I mean, when you look at the other, even my political party is a woman, right? And she's a very she's doing a very good job. But I'm just saying,
Where are the men?
Where
the leadership?
are our men?
Let me say something.
You know?
And we could wrap up with this, right? One of the things that I've continued to say with regards to this whole conversation about government and party and thing. I said it again just now before my last customer leave. And I said to him, I said, bro, I hear you, you know. I hear you. This one was Stephen, that one was Stephen. I said, but let me tell you something. I said, where them people coming from? Where are they coming from? Where are the politicians coming from? Right? That is the question we need to sit down and answer. Because when we do that, we will really take a look and see why the situation is the way it is. Because the citizenry of this country, bro, I looking at the comments under some of these posts, King. Right? As a nation, I saying it big.
Yeah.
We shit. You understand? We shit, King.
Yeah.
Because how we know that a man is a criminal, right? And go and vote for that. We ain't guessing, you know, because on the ground where they say everything happening, we know. Apparently, we hear that this man do this and that man do that. We know about all them things. We know who with who. We know who horning who. We know who outside child is, who the father is.
We know who went double palm.
We went double palm. They had no camera, but we know it was by double palm.
Yeah.
Right. So we gotta keep asking ourselves the question: what are we as the nation doing?
Yeah.
Because when it all said and done, partner, it could be yellow, it could be red, it could be blue, it could be green. Who had to manage you? You had to manage yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And they say the true test of a man is what he does do when nobody looking.
Yeah. That's how you know his character.
Correct.
When
that
nobody's
is the
looking.
true character of a man when nobody looking. They don't have a police over here. Right? I watched something with a neighbor of mine recently. You know, the street is a no entry. Right? To reach by you, the street is a no entry, but your gate is about 2 car length from the no entry.
Yeah. So,
you bust down the no entry and drive in here.
Yeah. Because why?
Why not make the block?
Because it's convenient.
Right? And that's why I tell people, I say, you see them little things, King? Them little things is what is make the difference. Them little things. I watch a youth man walking up Henry Street. Schoolboy. He and the girl talking, whatever. He finish eat a pie. Plastic bag. But it have a little inner pie in it now. He tired? Wash out. And I'm like, yo.
You know why?
Nobody's always talk it.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing home.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing home.
And it have no bins convenient there because from Charlotte, the top of Charlotte Street
to
the bottom, there's none. My train walk with me, and they saying, Daddy, where we throwing this?
All them
we had to put it in my pocket till we reach home because I have no way.
All them nice stainless steel one. Yeah. When you look around in the back of it, it have nothing.
It's empty. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have to continue to, on a societal level, on a national level, look within. We have to start to hold each other accountable. You see this little space where we have here? He just hold me to the sword for certain things. I just hold you to the sword for certain things. And vice versa.
And I remember I told you that when you tell me, you say, King, you're getting involved in this.
Yeah.
I say, because people like you is going to hold me accountable when it is I am elected and not doing what I'm supposed to do. And I tell you that, I'm glad to know I have persons like you who will call me out on the foolishness if it doesn't happen the way it's supposed to.
And I feel like I don't have enough of that happening in the country.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me as a person who going up for ministry now that you know some of the problems very well.
Yeah.
You're close to it, but yet still you're going in there and you're not fixing them.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, tonight was a good night.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
Let's read out like a comment before
the last one?
Yeah.
Women in positions of leadership in a patriarchal society, so one hand cannot clap unless it's a slap. We have to work together for societal changes. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And the versus thing need to stop, King. We can't. What you bringing to the table? What you bringing to the table? What you doing? What I doing? I watching you. We measure index. For real. We can't do that.
Yeah. But why we don't just bring the whole table? Why you wanted to see who bringing to the table?
Yeah.
Let me hold the table on either side.
Yeah.
And let me bring the table together.
That is what we need to do.
Right? Let me bring the table together.
That is what we need to do.
I mean, I no philosopher, but I will end with saying this.
Yeah.
You cannot move away from one mechanic who mash up your car, who didn't fix it, go to another mechanic, pay money again, and then you realize you still didn't get the service, but you're going back to the first mechanic. We had to be mad.
Yeah.
We had to be mad.
Yeah.
Right? So, Kings, I really appreciate this. You know, I mean, I will tell all you, before I go, I would say, oh God, boy, them fellas bring all kind of people on this show and they wouldn't even bring me, boy. Yeah, I'm telling you. No, serious, I tell you, I say them fellas bring all kind of people.
Well, you give me a reason to
and
bring you.
I write next door.
No, you give me a reason to bring you. We couldn't bring you to talk about nothing
But
else.
I mean, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, because we kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
You talk the logistics, you talk the tariffs, and you talk the politics. You understand? So we get you.
Yeah.
You understand?
It will come again because the time ain't stopping.
Yeah.
And we will, after this conversation here and after this major election here, I think this is one of the most major elections in the history of the country.
Yeah.
Simply not for me, not for this time, for the next time.
Yeah.
To come in.
I feel one of the things that I want to do in the next coming months, years, is really and truly, and I said I would probably buy a new camera, or I could do it with my phone, but really go out there, not to highlight persons and the ills that they face in it, but to highlight certain things and see how long we take to get it fixed. Right? I mean, it may take some doing. I might have to go and learn all the editing thing and all them kind of, but I want to be real. Right? I want to probably have it 5 minutes with Chris. Some sort of thing, and you go there, you spend 5 minutes to see some of the things that we could change, the changes we could affect, you know, the persons we could reach, we can teach, we can meet. Because again, if we don't connect with the people, we ourselves are lost.
Facts.
Right? We ourselves are lost because that's where we come from.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that you can't move out from where you grew up.
Yeah.
But you still can't forget where you come from, because forgetting where you come from means that I feel you just get too cocky, and we don't need cocky people in society.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a byproduct of politics, brother, but I hope it isn't. That way, you know, when they get comfortable and they start to get disrespectful.
I wouldn't.
But that's the old saying, you know, familiarity breeds contempt.
Yeah.
You know? That's just this is all we seen here, you know. Familiarity breeds contempt because you're with me for 10 years. Right? Before you come to me, before we meet and thing, you know, you was real nice and hey, oh God, you dressed nice, your bald head shiny.
Yeah.
Bobby, you're looking like a Bobby head. You understand? But then when you get in now, after the first 5 years, you know, you treating me nice still and thing. But when it reached the 8th and the 9th year, you start to talk to me all kind of how. You start to tell me thing where what I'm to you. So I pay any bills.
You take all the food and the rest of it. I bathe in, you know.
But I buy the groceries.
I bathe in. The food just rest down there. When I done bathe, I go I lie down watching the TV, but the food on the counter. You tell me the food there, you ain't give me a fork, you ain't give me a spoon, you know. And that's the same thing we are saying. The things might be there, you know. But how accessible it is, how palatable it is for us. I mean, but Kings is a real good show. I mean, I thank you. I've seen your customer, your viewers and your internet persons. I mean, I see the comments and I like it. Crystal say the double stays real good. Yeah, Crystal, I know. I know.
I wanted Malik too.
And I think the same. It and watch me. It have one in the back of Marcia. Right in the back of Marcia, and she may just sell for the persons in the community. Right there. I tell you, tell a man who have a shop. The only so I realized was a shop. Because when I looking properly, I saw some tin of peas and some pack of flour, but he had about 10 or 12 bread on a bench. So I thought that was bread for the dog. Because when I look, I say, you have a shop here? He said, yeah, boy. And that's a neighborhood shop.
Mad.
It had no door. It had no window. Right? Why we can't get in and say, hey, we're going to enhance this shop now because this satisfies the neighborhood. But again, we had to take that walk. I'll carry all with me.
Yeah. I'll help you with that little podcasting way.
Yeah.
Right, so there we out. Thanks for joining us. King,
more life,
strength and powers.
Yeah.
Strength and powers.
Black to black.
Love and support is action words. You can't talk them. You understand? Talking them is waste of breath. And to the president of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, we send him with strength and with power.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, they can't take
and
right?
with him, that revolution is going to continue.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, Miguel, don't you talk that talk. Make doubles tomorrow now. All your let's enjoy this safe all.
Black to Black, Black to Black, with Kieran and Orisha Lachey.